All right, shalom, shalom. Before I get started, I want to start off by giving all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rekak, Chodash, Lai Yam. Double honors to my apostles and elders at Great Millstone. Shalom to the elect, the ones out there who are doing this work diligently and chiefly keeping the faith, making your calling and your election sure. We're going to get right into it. Now, the title of this particular lesson is going to be called Fiat Currency Graveyard. Okay. Now, the Spirit jumped on me to do this lesson because I was reflecting on the ways that Rome fell. Okay. And the major reason why Rome fell was because of its money. All right. I believe the denarius. Okay. Right, the denarius was weaker. It was getting weaker and weaker because of all of the, all of the BS that was added to it. Right, they kept chipping away at the purity of it. All right, and another reason why Rome fell is because of the military. Giving authority to their women, things like that. But what I'm going to focus on now is the money part of it and how. This current Roman system is falling too as well. Okay. Because of the money. All right. Right now, the dollar is not backed by gold, is not backed by silver. Okay. You can say that the dollar is backed by oil, but really, it's a fiat currency. Okay. And before I get into this article that I found, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the definition of the word fiat currency according to Google. Okay, this is a fiat currency meaning. It says fiat currency is a type of money that is not backed by a physical commodity, such as gold or silver, but instead is backed by the government that issues it. The word fiat comes from the Latin word fiducia, which means trust. Okay. All right, so that's good information. So fiat means trust in Latin. Okay. Here are some key characteristics of fiat currency. It says no intrinsic value. Fiat currency has no value in and of itself, but instead derives its value from the public's trust in the government that issues it. You see, and you can see how the trust of the government is waxing worse and worse. Okay. People are upset with their governments. And that links up with 2nd Ezra chapter 15 and 16 goes into, that great insurrection. Okay. That civil war. All right. And that's what you see, we're on the brink of, right? Especially with this election. If Trump win, it's a possibility for a civil war. Even if, Kamala Harris win, there's a possibility for a civil war, you see? Okay, let's continue on. It says legal tender. The government designates fiat currency as legal tender and authorize it through government regulation. Okay. Let's get what legal tender mean. Legal tender, medium of payment allowed by law. You see, legal tender is a form of money that courts of law are required to recognize as satisfactory payment for any monetary debt. Each jurisdiction determines what is legal tender, but essentially it is anything which, when offered in payment of a debt, extinguishes the debt. There is no obligation on the creditor to accept the tendered payment, but the act of tendering the payment in legal tender discharges the debt. You see? So that's what the dollar is. Okay. The dollar has legal tender, meaning that I just brought it out. The government designates fiat currency as legal tender and authorizes it through government regulation, through the courts, things like that. So, the city or the country, should I say, has the right to, give authority to the dollar. It's not backed by anything. It's just backed through trust, right? People trusting that a $20 bill is what it is, or a $10 bill is what it is. Really, it's monopoly money. All right. But everybody agrees that that $20 bill is $20. You see. Let's continue on. Central bank control. Central banks have greater control over the economy with fiat currency because they can control how much money is printed. You see? All right. That's why the Federal Reserve Bank exists. Okay. Now, before I continue on, I want to get this precept real quick because this is a beautiful time to be in. All right, we're seeing the downfall of our enemies. And like I said, the major way Rome fell and the major way all of these empires fail is through their money. Okay. It says, Sirach chapter 25, verse 7, there be 9 things which I have judged in mine heart to be happy, and the 10th I will utter with my tongue. A man that have joy of his children, and he that liveth to see the fall of his enemy. Okay, and that's the time that we're in. We're living to see the fall of our enemies, and they're falling through their money. That's why you got hyperinflation going on right now. All right. They're falling, and hyperinflation typically comes before a fiat currency fall. You see, that's what happened in Rome too as well. Okay, it was hyperinflation. The money was useless. Okay. Now, we're seeing the downfall of our enemies right now. If you're not happy in these times to see your enemy collapse, then you're not really a man. All right. You want to see your enemies fall, man. That's the spirit that the Lord is putting back on his people. Okay. You want to see them fall. You don't want to see this place rise up, man, because it's wicked. Okay. So that's the first precept I'm going to grab. Now let's go back to this. Fiat currency meaning. This gives an example. It says the US dollar, the euro, and other major global currencies are all examples of fiat currency. Okay. Now, I'm going to actually go to what the ruble is, right, which is the Russian's currency, and that's actually backed by gold. I believe around a year or two ago, Russia put their currency back on the gold standard. Okay. And that's another reason why those BRIC nations are coming together and other countries are looking to join BRICS. Okay. Let's continue on. This is historical examples. The continental currency used during the American Revolution, the assignats used during the French Revolution, and the greenbacks used during the American Civil War are all examples of fiat currency. Okay. One danger of fiat currency is that governments can print too much of it, which can lead to hyperinflation and a decline in the value of the currency. And that's what we're seeing right now as we speak, right? A downfall of America's currency, a downfall of the old regime. Okay. The G7, right, are losing to the BRIC nations. Okay. All right. G7 is no longer running this show. Okay. Fiat money is a type of currency that is not backed by a precious metal, such as gold or silver, or backed by any other tangible asset or commodity. Fiat currency is typically designated by the issuing government to be legal tender and is authorized by government regulation. Okay. Now, I said something before. I wanted to go into the Russian ruble. So I'll ask Google. I said, what is the Russian ruble backed by? It says in early 2022, Russian pegged its currency, the ruble, to gold, and 5,000 rubles will now buy an ounce of pure gold. The plan was to shift the currency away from pegged value and into the gold standard itself, so the ruble would become a credible gold substitute at a fixed rate. Okay, so it says pegged value, right? Let's go into that. Pegged value would be what? A fiat currency, right? Let's go to peg, definition of the word peg. Peg, spike. Okay. Because, typically with fiat currency, you don't know what the value is going to be the next day. It could be spikes. It could be, downtrends. You don't know, you see, because it's not backed by nothing. All right. Here, Russia's rubles are backed by gold, and it's at a fixed rate. Okay. You don't have to worry about, all of these different high or low fluctuations, because 5,000 rubles will give you an ounce of pure gold. You see, that's a fixed rate. You know what you putting your money into, and you know what you're getting for your money. Shit, the dollar is worth less and less each day. Okay, so at one point in time, over in a country, for example, you could take $1 over there and flip that dollar 10 times. But now, throughout the years, that same dollar can only be flipped 5 times. You see what I'm saying? When you go to that same particular country. That was just an example. Okay. Now, let's continue on. Why is Russian ruble so strong? Rising crude prices have also played a role. Oil is one of Russia's main revenue sources, and the nation has pushed for energy exporters to sell their foreign exchange earnings for rubles on the currency market. You see? It says Russian central bankers have also moved to dump foreign currencies. So really, it's starting with the money. All right. Rome fell because of the money. OK, and other nations fail because of the money. And I'm going to show you, through this article that I found, because every country that had a fiat currency, they end up falling. OK, because their money, became nothing. Right. Hyperinflation brought in the downfall of their kingdom. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is go to this article that I found, and we're going to get some information off of that. Now it says Fiat Currency Graveyard, a history of monetary folly. Okay, let's continue on. It says, now I believe this article here is from the Genie Foundation. It says Genie Blockchain with the Soul. So that's the article. It says, living in denial about the economy. I still see many Americans living in denial about the fate of the USD, even when they know that past performance is not a guarantee of future performance. They still say things like, yes, the 2008 bailouts were bad, but our economy has stabilized and will be okay. No, the economy will not be okay, and the chart below illustrates why. You can see in the chart below right there how, that line represents the money printing, right? And it says money printing is wealth theft, you see? And that chart shows the U.S. money supply between the times of 1959 and 2018. So you can see the constant printing of money, right? Which brings in hyperinflation, which brings in the devaluing of the dollar. Devaluing of the dollar. All right. It says money printing is wealth theft. Money printing is wealth theft. As the chart below illustrates, the money printing in the U.S. since 1900s has destroyed 98% of the USD's value. You see that? 98% of the value of the dollar has been destroyed. It says, but what happens to the value of the USD when the money supply shoots up like a missile, as has occurred since 2008? It loses even more value and will eventually and inevitably collapse. Along with the value of every asset that is denominated in USD, this has happened many times in recent and not so recent history. And when it happens, the currency is usually killed and buried in the fiat currency graveyard. Okay, hence the title, Fiat Currency Graveyard. It says U.S. dollar purchasing power during the 20th century. You can see how it declined. See, I gave an example earlier about how it declines. And then you can see here in the chart, you see how in the Spanish War, right? Let's zoom in. You can see how during the Spanish War, it was at US dollar purchasing power. So you can see it was at the $25 mark during the Spanish American War. During the Federal Reserve created during that time, it was around what, $18, $19. Okay. And you can see the decline during these times, right? During these times of battle. Okay. So that's a great chart to have too as well. Now the fiat currency graveyard, it says RIP Fiat. The average lifespan of a fiat currency is about 35 years. You see, that's a key point too as well. You know, those who are listening and you're teaching, you know, these are fun facts that you can use online to help out, you know, the conversation that you're having. Typically when it comes to the downfall of America, this can be one of the key facts that you can use to edify. Okay. Now let's continue on. It says the following list of currencies is a small sample of all the fiat currencies throughout the past 1,000 years that have collapsed due to corrupt and or incompetent monetary policy making. Hyperinflation is one of the most common precursors to a fiat currency's collapse. Are we not in hyperinflation right now? So you can see how this current fiat currency is on its way out. Okay. Why? Because hyperinflation is a precursor. Just like it happened in Rome, just like it happened in other countries too as well. And we're about to get an example of these countries. Now it says, keep in mind that most of these currencies below collapse within the lifetime of most baby boomers living today. So hyperinflation and currency collapses are not exceptionally rare events. In fact, the average lifespan of a fiat currency is only about 35 years, which means these events happen much more frequently than many people realize. So the Peru, right? Peru, 100,000 intis, what's that? Inti, forgive me if I mispronounced that. But it says a former basic monetary unit of Peru equal to 100 centimos. Okay, so Peru, this is a list of fiat currencies that died off, right? In Peru, the intis died off in 1989. Russia, 10,000 rubles in 1992. And the list goes on and on. You see? This goes on and on. These are different fiat currencies that fail. You can see some of these countries, they just keep coming out with several different fiat currencies. All right. But now, like I said, Russia has backed their rubles by gold. So it's no longer a fiat currency. It's actually a currency that's backed by a particular metal or commodity. Now, continuing on, it says, will your fiat currency be next? Based on the historical average lifespan of fiat currencies in the data table in the Global Governance Scorecard, if your country's total debt to GDP ratio approaches or exceeds 200%, then there's a high probability that your fiat currency will be buried in the fiat currency graveyard within your lifetime. The only currency that can escape this fate is a well-designed cryptocurrency, not gold. No, we're going to pass that because they're trying to market the cryptocurrency stuff. Okay, so, you know, I brought that information out to show you the downfall of America. Okay, and one of the reasons why, all right, these nations are going to nuke America is because they can't make money with America no more. Okay, this is Revelation chapter 18. And I'm going to start at verse 9. Revelation 18 and 9, it says, Salakia. It says, and the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and live deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning. Okay, so all these nations who have got in bed with America with the dollar, all right, shall do what? They shall bewail her. They shall lament for her. Okay, because she's gonna burn. All right, America will be burned by her enemies as well as her allies. Okay, according to Jeremiah chapter 51. Okay, verse 10, it says, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, alas, alas, that great city, Babylon, which is talking about America, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. Verse 11, and the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. You see? Hey, man, America will be burned and her dollar will collapse. Okay? Because that fire is going to ruin the whole system. Okay? Revelation 18 and 12, the merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones and of pearls and fine linen and purple and silk and scarlet and all thine wood and all manner vessels of ivory and all manner vessels of most precious wood and of brass and iron and marble. Verse 13, and cinnamon and odors and ointments and frankincense and wine and oil and fine flour and wheat and beasts and sheep and horses and chariots and slaves and souls of men. Verse 14, and the fruits that thy soul lusted after are departed from thee, and all things which were dainty and goodly are departed from thee, and thou shalt find them no more. Right? Because America will be as desert. All right. The Arabian will not be able to pitch their tents here. According to Isaiah 13, it says that. Right? So there will be no buying and selling in America after those nukes hit. Okay? All right? Continuing on, the merchants, verse 15, Revelation 18 and 15, the merchants of these things which were made rich by her. See? So because America is an import, it's not an export. So everything come in from other countries and get sold here in America. Okay, all of these things that was mentioned in Revelation 18 is what's sold in America. And that's how these nations are getting rich, right? Through selling their merchandise to Americans, all right, who overindulge in things. Okay, it says, Revelation 18 and 15, the merchants of these things which were made rich by her, right, being in bed with the dollar, shall stand afar off for the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing. Okay. Verse 16, and saying, alas, alas, that great city that was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls. Verse 17, for in 1 hour so great riches is come to naught, and every shipmaster and all that company in ships and sailors and as many as trade by sea stood afar off. Verse 18, and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, what city is like unto this great city? Verse 19, and they cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, alas, alas, that great city wherein were made rich all that had ships in the sea by reason of her costliness. For in 1 hour she is made desolate. Okay. Verse 20, rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for God have avenged you on her. Right? So that's speaking like it's already done. That's how you know I'm reading future prophecy. All right. And we just have to get to that time when this is actually solidified. Right. But really, in the spirit, it's done already. All right. We just got to get to that point when it's physical. Okay. So that's what we're doing now through the spirit. We are rejoicing over the downfall of Babylon, man. Okay. And like I said before, it started with the currency. Okay. These nations are pissed off from all the sanctions that America is putting on these nations. Okay. That's why the BRICS was formed, because of the sanctions that the United States put on Russia, the sanctions the United States put on China, put on, Iran and all these other countries. Okay. They said, forget the dollar and let's go over here and do our own thing. And now they're becoming their particular payment and their particular way of dealing with currency is becoming popular. Majority of the countries are now signing up with the BRICS, with the BRIC nations. Okay, and that's only going to piss America off, and that's going to force America to do what? Press that button. Okay, so hopefully this was edifying. I'm going to end it by giving all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rekach Chorash, Lai Yam. Double honors once again to my apostles and elders at Great Millstone. Shalom one once again to the elect. Hey, don't let your sins weigh you down. Don't let your iniquities lift up themselves. That's what they want to do. It's our job to repent and keep it moving through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. Shalom, Yasharallah. On to the next one.